Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept our humble obeisance. All glories to Jagat Krishna Prabhupada. All glories to our revered speaker for today, Hey Grace, Mother KARTAMISA, Devi. And all glories to the Samud Vaishnavi devotees. Devotees, we thank you all for being here today. Today is Monday, a new beginning of a new week. And we are very fortunate to have one of our own, Grace KARTAMISA Devi. And I'm humbly proud to say that she is my big sister. And we were all in Gidanagri together. And then after a while, she moved to Vrindavan. So she is now a Vrindavan lady, the land of Srimati Radharani. And so her time is a bit late for her. It's like 8:35 p.m. that time, and she has sacrificed to be with us. So, Mother KARTAMISA, thank you and welcome to your own home, Hare Krishna, Africa. And
thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. What we do, the setting is just like a temple room setting. So we'll put the verse on the screen. You chant the Sanskrit slokas. Devotees may not chant along with you or respond when you chant because it creates echo.
Okay.
And you do the translation paper, and then you give us your insight. And if there is some time, devotees may want to ask some questions or share their realizations on the subject matter. So that's what we do.
Okay, that would be nice. I'd like to hear their reflections because it's an exchange between myself and them.
Yes. So thank you so much. So without further ado, we're going to put the verse on the screen.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Aham Tokto Bhagavata Pranarti Harenaha Bharadim Tvam Prayahiti Swakulam Suna. Word for word translations. The translation and purports are by His Very Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Srila Prabhupada. Aham, I, Cha, and Yukta was told, Bhagavata, by the Supreme Lord, Papana, of the surrendered, Arti Harena, by he who is the vanquisher of the distresses. Ha, indeed. Bandarim, to Badari, Twam, you, Prayahi, should go, Iti, thus, Swakulam, his own family, Sajishuna, who desired to destroy. The translation, the Lord is the vanquisher of the distresses of one who has surrendered unto him. And thus he who desired to destroy the family told me previously to go to Badareksham ashram. Purport. While at Dwarka, Uddhava was warned to avoid the distresses which were to follow the disappearance of the Lord and the destruction of the Yadu dynasty. He was advised to proceed to Badarekashram because there he could associate with the devotees of Narayana, and in their association of devotional service, he could increase his eagerness for chanting, hearing, knowledge, and detachment. So the first thing I wanted to do, I usually like to review because I haven't been on this site. So just also for my own edification, I did some reviewing of the previous sloka, and also investigated how Uddhava was speaking and how Vidura was asking him questions. So, and then first too, what I did was I wanted to, this Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3 is entitled The Status Quo. So usually what I do is if there's something I want to be clear on or could put things in perspective, I looked up the definition of status quo. So status quo actually is a Latin term for the existing state of affairs, usually referring to like political or social conditions or what is the current situation, how things are happening, the combination of the circumstances at a particular given time. So one thing I wanted to comment on is, the Srimad Bhagavatam is relevant eternally, especially for us as living conditioned souls. So we can take comfort from the Srimad Bhagavatam. We can understand what is actually happening in the material world, what is happening with us. And also, my experience has been that when I'm going through a certain situation, I can pick up the Srimad Bhagavatam and start reading. And invariably, it comes to purport which addresses my situation. And then I can clearly understand, what is the situation and what is it I'm experiencing while in this material world. So I was looking in chapter 3, some of the earlier verses, and was trying to investigate how was Uddhava speaking, how did he get to speak? So he met Vidura. Vidura was left the royal house, the royal palace, because Duryodhana had insulted him. But also he desired to go, so he went on pilgrimage. And while he was on pilgrimage, he met Uddhava. He was sitting on the bank of the Yamuna, and he met Uddhava. And Uddhava is a close companion of Krishna. It is stated in the Srimad Bhagavatam he almost looked the same as Krishna. And so he was very close, and he was experiencing at this time what they would call, the acharyas called it anxiety and distress in separation, but not in a mundane way. It was separation and ecstasy, which, was maybe is not understandable for us because in the material world, separation means distress negatively. But for separation in the spiritual world, it's a different kind of separation. That's what has been explained by the acharyas. So Uddhava was feeling this ecstasy of separation and distress because he was so close to Krishna, but yet he was having to be distanced, had to separate from him. And actually reminded me of also Arjuna, who was separated from the Lord. And he came home and he was also distressed. And Yudhishthira was asking him so many questions he saw that Arjuna was distressed. So he was asking him different kind of questions, about certain members of the family. And this is also what was happening between Uddhava and Vidura, was asking questions. Vidura was asking him about the family members, specifically talking about different personalities such as Vasudeva, Devaki, Pradyumna, Ugrasena, Samba, and so forth. Samba, who's the son of Jambavati. So he also spoke about Dhritarashtra. So Uddhava was still in distress. So he began talking about Krishna. because he had served Krishna since his childhood. So he began praising and speaking lovingly about the Lord, because Vidura's questions were bringing out this remembrance in his heart and this love that came up in his heart about Krishna, and he was remembering him. So he began to describe in chapter 3, it's called Remembrance of Lord Krishna. So in chapter 3, he was talking about his relationship with Krishna. He was talking about Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan. And then in chapter 3, he starts discussing and talking to Vidura about Krishna's pastimes outside of Vrindavan. He was talking about his killing of the demons, etc., in Vrindavan, outside of Vrindavan, because there are no. So he was talking about outside of Vrindavan, all the demons he killed outside. So then we go to chapter 4, which is the chapter we're on, and we're on the 4th verse. But the chapter begins with a description of the fratricidal annihilation of the Yadu dynasty. And so he spoke about how Krishna orchestrated this particular pastime. So we know that they were at Prabhas, and they began to drink some rice wine, which made them lose they got bewildered, and they started insulting one another and started fighting. So this was all in Krishna's plan. In fact, I'm trying to remember, but as I recall, this curse, there's always a back story to, you have the front story, but the story goes in the back too. There's other things going on. It may have happened in a previous time or a previous past time, or this particular one was when Krishna, after the war, when Krishna went to visit Gandhari, she was very angry with Krishna because he had killed all of her sons. So she cursed Krishna to tell him, you will lose all of your family members, just like you made me lose mine. So it started there, but actually we know Krishna is the supreme controller, so everything works by his desire and his design. So he was thinking, he had already, taken care of all these demoniac kings who were on the battlefield in Kurukshetra. That was also his plan, to remove the burden of the earth of these demoniac kings. So then he started thinking, and in this Srimad Bhagavatam, if you read the purports, they give you an idea of what Krishna was thinking. Krishna was thinking, first, that his family was very powerful. They were very powerful in opulence, powerful in strength, almost like Krishna himself. And actually they came to serve Krishna. Krishna brought them, his associates, with him because he had pastimes to perform. So he didn't want to leave them here. He didn't want to be separated from them, but there were several reasons. There's so many varied parts of this pastime and different aspects about why he orchestrated this disappearance of his family members, because there were millions of them. And so Krishna was considering, like the great strength that they had. And he thought they may be more unbearable burden, meaning, more than the soldiers killed in the battle of Kurukshetra. And so this burden means irregular discharge of the Lord's desire, because certain members of his family They were, some of them were, it's in the Srimad Bhagavatam 11, chapter 1, at verse 4. It said that Krishna was concerned about the irreligious activities of his own family members and for their improper acts. Because some of them, they had intimate association with Krishna, and some of them became indifferent to his will, and some of them became a little puffed up. And there were some whimsical members who would act freely, and he would cause great misfortune for the world. And he was concerned about that. That wasn't his major concern, but these are some of the variables in his decision to do that. But the major one was the separation from them. And also because of this separation, he wanted to bring them back because they also would be disturbed by the separation. And it is said that in that separation from Krishna, they would be in an agitated state of mind. And they would trample and destroy the earth. This is what it says in the Canto 11. It describes this whole pastime. So then the Lord was considered the need to annihilate the contemptuous members of the family members. But this shouldn't be taken as something mundane or ordinary, because they were all very elevated, very intimate associates, and some were expansions and demigods. So it's not in a way of saying that they were irreligious. Because even for us, in the Bhagavad Gita, we know, I think it's 9:30, maybe it's 9:34. It says, it's about how no matter what type of acts or we may perform, it should not be considered abominable acts. Do you remember that verse, Sahadev, the one that talks about, I think it's 9:34 in the Srimad Bhagavatam, where it talks about even if we commit abominable acts, we should still be considered saintly. So what to speak of us? This is for us.
I think that's 9:30.
Yes, this is for us. Yeah, 9:30. It's 9:30. So this is for us. So what to speak of those elevated associates of Krishna who came to help him in his pastimes? Definitely, they shouldn't be considered ordinary. And their position with Krishna was one of being involved in his pastimes. So he planned this annihilation, the destruction of the Yadu dynasty. And if you read this 11, Srimad Bhagavatam 11, Canto 1, text 4 and 5, you can find a really in-depth description of what actually happened and Krishna's feelings about it, and how actually what the demigods did was those persons on that at Prabhas were actually expansions of the demigods. And after that, after the annihilation, the demigods went back to the heavenly planets. So in the 11th canto, I'm going to give a little bit from the 11th canto. It says that they should never be considered to be irreligious, because within the three worlds, none were as powerful and opulent as the Yadu dynasty. And I also read that no one could actually kill them. There was nobody who could actually kill these associates, these demigods. Prabhupada gives the example of the setting of the sun does not mean the end of the sun. It means the sun is out of our sight. Similarly, the end of the mission of the Lord on a particular planet or universe only means he's out of our sight. And this is the same for the Yadu dynasty. And this particular verse that we're reading at present about how Krishna takes away the distress of the devotees. So he was concerned, very concerned about Uddhava. And he wanted to soothe Uddhava's heart. So he asked Uddhava to go to Bhattariksha. He asked him to go there to be with those other devotees who were there who were also in separation. So he gave him a service to use him as an instrument to help those devotees and to help himself. He gave him this service. And he wanted Uddhava, to share memories with these devotees at that ashram, so that they also could hear. And actually, it relates to us because Krishna is also trying to bring us back in that same way. That's why we have the Srimad Bhagavatam. That's why he gave us the Gita. So we could also come to remember our position, our actual position with the Lord as his constitutional servants. So all of these pastimes that he performed are for us, the conditioned living entities, so we can understand, our constitutional position and desire to go back to the spiritual world. So how can we do that? We have to hear constantly about Krishna. We have to want to hear and like to hear and not hear anything else but the conversations and the descriptions of his pastime, the conversations between him and his devotees, the pastimes in the spiritual world, so we can desire to go back. So he's trying to also show his love for us. Actually, too, the Gita, I always say that the Gita is it's called the Song of God, but it's about the love between Arjuna and Krishna, because it's all throughout the Bhagavad Gita, his feelings for Arjuna. And Arjuna is actually representing us as living entities. So he's expressing his love for us by giving us his holy name, coming as Lord Chaitanya to give us a holy name, and by giving us the Srimad Bhagavatam, and by giving us the Bhagavad Gita, so we can soften our hearts. So Krishna spoke the Uddhava Gita, and then he sent Uddhava to the ashram, Bhattarika ashram, so he could help those devotees. So it's our service. Once we understand our position, then we have to share. We have to want everyone to come. We have to want everyone to come. We have to go out and distribute books and preach and talk to whoever and spread the message of the Lord. That is our duty. That is our service. And I just wanted to give some realizations too about being here in Vrindavan, especially during this period, during the period of Kartik. It's such an amazing place. I have to share this because especially coming here has made me really realize understand a little bit more about trying to improve myself, understanding my anarthas, because this space is actually about looking at yourself, about knowing what your anarthas are. And Krishna puts them right so you can see them. Here it's like jumping in, actually into the fire, out of the frying pan into the fire. So it's the fire of purification. So many things can happen when you're here, but you should have the realization that everything that's happening here is directly done by Krishna, by Srimati Radharani. So you can progress quicker, faster to work on your anarthas. It's not that anybody else is the cause of your distress or your unhappiness. It's you're the cause of your own unhappiness, and whatever distress you think you may be feeling. And everyone here, especially during this time, everyone's so enthusiastic. This is something you don't see very much in the West. It's like an ocean of devotion, especially in the morning. They're like pouring into the temple and running and so happy to come to be able to see the Lord. And the temple now you can't go inside. You have to stay outside because it's so packed you can't get in. So you can get and their mood of service is high. Their mood of serving is very high. Any service they can get, they like run to it. So I'm hoping through Gurudev's mercy and Srimati Radharani that I be able to work and clear my anarthas before I leave the body here. And whether I leave here in Vrindavan or not is up to Krishna. It's up to Srimati Radharani. It doesn't mean because you're here, you're going to leave here. Because leaving here means you're going to go directly to Goloka Vrindavan. So I may or I may not, but hopefully at least I'll have Vrindavan consciousness, because you can be here and not have Vrindavan consciousness, because there's so many other material things you see that are happening. But you have to focus on the goal. What is the goal? The goal is to love Krishna, to have the association of all these beautiful devotees who are here. And you can learn so much. And you definitely have to put your false ego down, because it doesn't work here. If you don't put it down, the devotees will put it down for you. And you have to accept it. And because you have to accept it, you cannot get angry here. There's no place for that. You just have to see it as this person is helping me move forward. Because it's said that 1,000 times service, you get credit, but 1,000 times offenses, you also get that. So you have to see everyone here as very special. Every ant, every pig, whatever you see, person, the trees, the devotees, everyone who's here is special, because you cannot come here just to be here. You can't. It said you cannot buy a ticket to Vrindavan. I don't know how I got here. It's just through Gurudev's mercy on me. So I just wanted to say that before I finish the class. I have a lot that I've written down about my time here in Vrindavan and my realizations, and maybe at some other time. But I want to end the class here and open up for questions.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Grace KARTAMISA Devi. Thank you so much. especially sharing a little bit of your experience on the dam, Cherokee Dam. It's very interesting and a bit dangerous at the same time because
well, it depends on how you look at it.
I'm saying it's dangerous because those of us with a Western approach to things, we're going to see differences and then make our own judgments based on our own carnal assumptions of what is right and what is wrong. But this is not a place to be doing that.
No, it is not the place. And also, I have to say, and this is just my realization. And I remember Guru Dev used to say, when he would go away, he would come back and he would say, I don't want to see you in the same consciousness. Do you remember?
Yeah.
I don't want to see you in the same consciousness as when I left. Yeah. And that's very deep. You have to meditate on that because that also pertains to the body that we're in. And not to always think of ourselves as victims of anything, because we don't know what we did in our past lives, millions of lives, for what's coming to us now in this particular body. We don't know. So we cannot think that we are victims of anything. And I'm not saying this to say that what others are doing, whatever it is pertaining to that are right. But the responsibility is on us, on how we handle it, and if we want to grow in Krishna consciousness. So we have to follow the footsteps of Guru Maharaj. We know it's not that he didn't have difficulties. He certainly did, but he still pressed on. So this is our responsibility to press on and to share as spiritual warriors what we learned from him.
Well, dear devotees, like I said earlier on into the class, our revered speaker is in India. It's a bit late her time. So those who have questions, I see Mother Gail's hand up. You may go ahead and then ask your question or share your realizations, and we'll make this class more joyful. So, Mother Gail, please, you may go ahead. Hare Krishna.
I know what this is.
Mother KARTAMISA.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, it was wonderful to see that you were going to be speaking today. Just I need a clarification on what you just now said, where you said that, your Guru Maharaj didn't want to see you in the same consciousness in which you left, and
in which he left, yes.
I mean, in which he left,
yes.
And that was connected to the body also.
Yes.
that meant so when you said the body also, I can understand the same consciousness, not the same but why the body also?
Because we tend to, think that we're victims because of our color. And the Guru Dev asked Srila Prabhupada, do you know that there's racism in your movement? And Prabhupada told him, yes, because they're on the neophyte level. But if you take the same stance, then you're also a nonsense.
Yeah.
So that's what I meant. He was also talking about that, not just raising our Krishna consciousness, trying to understand Krishna, chanting our rounds, but also that aspect of it as well.
Yeah, but that still sounds like consciousness to me, not having to do with the body.
Yes. Changing consciousness. But we're attached to the body, right? We think we are victimized because someone reacts to the color of our body.
Yeah. Yeah, that's yeah. Again, that just sounds like consciousness. In other words, I can still stay in whether I'm in a black body or some other kind of body.
Yes.
I can either think that I'm a victim, or I can stay in my same black body and think that I'm not a victim. So my body doesn't change.
Yes. Yes, you're right. You're right.
Okay, yeah. I just want to make
You're
sure
right.
we're on the same page.
Yes, you're right. Definitely, you're right.
Well, Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mr. Gay, and KARTAMISA, thank you. But I think what Mother KARTAMISA was saying, was trying to say is that I remember this some time ago where somebody was saying that she had wanted to become a medical doctor, but her parents advised her to become a nurse. And the reason the parents gave her to become a nurse is that doctors almost all the time, consider the physiology of the individual. Whereas as a nurse, you look at the totality of the individual. You look at the spiritual aspect of the individual. Doctors may not really care about somebody's spiritual need. They look at your social needs. Doctors may not care so much about the social needs. So even though it appears that consciousness is the main thing, but there are other aspects which are like subsets of consciousness. Consciousness of what? Spirituality? Consciousness of what? Health? Consciousness of what? Gender equality? So consciousness may be just one word, but it has various subsets. And like what Mother was saying, sometimes souls in black bodies also tend to suffer inferiority complex and sometimes make them become racist also. It is not only whites who become racist, blacks can also become racist. So these are some warnings and highlights that Gurudev used to give to his disciples and well-wishers, that you pay attention to spirituality, but at the same time, you pay attention to your external surroundings. So I think that's what Mother KARTAMISA was trying to say, because I'm saying this because fortunately, we are all of the same father, and we kind of heard so much of what our Gurudev shared with us. So that's what I would like to add to what Mother KARTAMISA has said.
Thank you.
Mother Gayla.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm a little.
Yeah, go ahead.
Your explanation clouded my understanding a little bit, because I understand. Yeah.
Okay. It's okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. That's why we discuss.
Yes, that's why we discuss. It's a discussion.
It's
an exchange.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
Anyone with something else to ask? Okay, Thakur Murari Prabhu, please, you may unmute.
So, Krishna Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All goes to Srila Prabhupada and the rest of the devotees. Nice to see you, especially in Mount Kartik. We have some nice association at Gita Nagari. So, I'm calling from Jamaica at the moment.
Oh.
So it's nice that I can link with you from so many miles. So, thanks for the presentation. And as usual, Krishna's pastime, especially Krishna Leela, it's so wonderful. It's unique in the sense that there's so much different aspects to it. And thanks for reminding about Uddhava's connection with Krishna and the whole aspect of how Krishna was did in terms of the Yadu dynasty, it was able to, to wind up because as he said there, nobody could beat dynasty. So Krishna came to unburden the world of the demons, but then he couldn't leave his dynasty. As I said, nobody could conquer them. So thanks for sharing your realization, reminding us of that Krishna leader. And nice to see you again, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you.
Okay.
Mother, do you remember him? He used to frequent Gita Nagari when you I see Mother Chitraleka here. Mother Chitraleka, Hare Krishna. Hare and Bo. Do you have something to share? Anyone something to share, something to ask? Well, I have a question. Okay, Dr. Hassan has a question. We'll go to Dr. Hassan first. Dr. Hassan, please you may unmute.
Hare Krishna, dear mother. Please can I accept my respectful obeisances?
Hare Krishna.
All glories to Prabhupada and all glories to you and all glories to the wonderful Assembly devotees. I have a question. It's a little bit controversial one, but I'll prefer I ask it offline when we are not recording, if that is okay.
There is nothing like controversial.
What is that?
There is nothing.
Yeah, okay, okay. My question is does this elections which is going to take place, and one is white and one is black, and as a devotees, what I heard from my Guru Maharaj is that we don't do politics because they are all lies. But one way or another, we have to, we cannot take ourselves away from them. But for instance, if the other party is insulting the other one because he's been black, and we find out these senior devotees who are black, but they are not Africans. And what the other ones say about the black people, they say them on their post and make fun of it. It's really, really, I can't pretend, it's really affects me that why can a devotee do that? Just because you are black, you are not from African, and you support the other party and he's insulting the black people, and you post it on your page to make fun of that. Madam, my question, how can we deal with such situations? Because, for instance, if the person be a senior devotee or something, either female or male, if I see you doing this, me particularly, I cannot be happy with you, or I cannot tolerate you. So, Mother, what advice can you give for us to tolerate such things? This is my question, because I cannot pretend, you know. So this is my question. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. You really want me to go there? First of all, I'm here in Vrindavan, so I'm not on Facebook. I'm not on the social media. That is not my focus. I cannot speak to what other devotees are doing. And there's devotees have different conditionings. So I really can't address that because I can't go there. If you want to, Sai David, you can, but what can I say?
Yeah.
I feel like we should be trying to develop our own Krishna consciousness and read more, and don't start dealing with what's happening in the material world. What's happening, who's getting elected, you have to start looking towards Krishna. Because it's said here in the Srimad Bhagavatam that Krishna helps his devotees who are in distress. So why are we looking at the political figures and who's going to be elected and this and that? I can't really understand it. I just feel like I'm so like here being in Vrindavan, I can't go there.
Yeah.
Prabhu, please, I can't. To be honest.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Mother Katamisha, and Dr. Hassan, thank you for your question. It is a genuine question because, like you indicated, it's troubling you. But like what Mother was saying, we shouldn't forget that we are all in this material world and we are all struggling with our senses, including the mind. And so the fact that somebody is Hare Krishna devotee does not mean that we cannot act otherwise. So, my Gurudev, His Holiness Bhaktivinoda Swami Maharaj, he wrote lots of books, and in the series of the spiritual warrior, he has this image of Arjuna shooting the eye of the fish. And what that means that even though there may be so many things around us, but we don't have to lose our focus. So these political things will be going on. We live in this material world. It's part of us. But amidst all these different things around us, should be our focus, which is Guru and Krishna and the devotees. So being a Black person and someone speaking ill of Black people, of course, we are human beings, we're going to be affected, but that effect should not be so much to the point that we get paralyzed or we ourselves begin to misbehave. Like Mother was saying when Gurudev approached Prabhupada and told him there is racism in your movement, Prabhupada did not deny it. Racism was here before we were born. It will continue to be here after we are dead and gone. It's never going to go away. So if there is something that is never going to go away, the only thing we can do with that is try to learn how to live with it. So my suggestion to you and to everybody else and to myself is that we have to try to be focused. There was a tree with a bird tied to the tree, and John was asked to shoot the eye of the bird, and he was asked, what do you see? I do not see the tree, I do not see the leaves, I do not see the branches, I do not see the stem, I do not see anything. I do not even see a bird. All I see is the eye of the bird. So this should be our mood. It's easier said than done, but if we try to practice, the Lord and the devotees will help us get to that level. So I think that is what we should do. And probably we should also try to limit our traffic on this social media. Sometimes it can be very, very, very distracting and discouraging. That is my 3 cents to your concern. Mother Gail has something to share, please. You may unmute.
Yeah, no, it's not on this subject.
Okay.
I wanted to revisit my original thing because I think you might have actually misunderstood what I said. I had said that your explanation of what Mother KARTAMISA said actually clouded my understanding. It didn't clarify. And so, I mean, I could listen to the recording and hear what you said again if it's too repetitious. But I was wondering if you would try again to make the point that you were making when you were trying to clarify what Mother Kartamisha said.
Well, okay, thank you, Hare Krishna. What I was trying to say is that, yes, you are right, that everything is based on the consciousness. But at the same time, too, what Mother Kathamisha was trying to say was trying to break down consciousness. Like when we say consciousness, it's just like there was a time Sri Prabhupada was speaking with one of his peers. And this person, excuse me to say, was a Mayavad. And so Sri Prabhupada was asking him, if I ask you, show me your head, show me your hand, and then you do not show me your hand, you do not show me your hand, and you say, this is me, this is my body. Sri Prabhupada says, no, that is not how it works. Even if you ask a toddler, show me your head, the child will point to his or her head. These are all different parts of the body. So there are different categories of consciousness. So consciousness as being aware of oneself is there, but sometimes someone's consciousness is embedded on being bodily beautiful. Like you learn that a teenager is more concerned about her physical appearance than anything else.
Mm.
That is all her consciousness, or his consciousness, especially in a young girl. A young girl, a teenager, all her consciousness is, how do I appear beautiful? How do I appear good in the eyes of the people? Especially my language these days, they call it sexy. How do I appear sexy? It's crazy. I ask people, why do you use that word? And so if someone is a medical doctor, all his consciousness is to how better his skill and knowledge on what he's doing. So sometimes as devotees, we're trying to raise our consciousness that we are not the body. But sometimes we get wounded and affected by these external designations.
Mm.
And so some of us, especially those of us in Black bodies, being what we've been through historically and experientially, sometimes some of us may be led into becoming so much obsessed with trying to defend ourselves. And in this way, how are we defending ourselves? Because I am this body. And so even the way you talk to me meant that you do not respect me. Meanwhile, the person speaking to you didn't even think that way. But because we are already in the mindset that we are being marginalized, somebody saying something that did not go the way you expected, you're going to think the other person is being racist. So Gurudev was training us that in our consciousness, as we develop our spiritual consciousness, we should not ignore or deny these external things that also are part of our being in this human body.
Yeah, so
I confused you more.
No. So basically, it just simply sounds like you're saying that, you know, although we are trying to be on of a spiritual consciousness, right?
Yeah.
That does not deny the fact that we are spiritual beings in material bodies, both subtle and gross.
Yes.
And that we should not, try to act on a platform that is beyond our current level of realization. Because just because, let's say, we might theoretically understand that we are spirit souls and not our subtle body or our gross body, but nevertheless, we still have, a certain amount of attachment to our material bodies. And we have to, be realistic about what our level of attachment and our level of bodily identification is.
Actually, we myself and KARTAMISA were talking about like race, because I talked about race because KARTAMISA first mentioned that, but that was not the only thing Gurudev used to talk to us about concerning the body, because without this body, we will not be able to be here to serve Krishna. So he also encouraged us to take very good care of our bodies. We make sure our health is good. And so I was pleasantly surprised when I first came to Giranagri. In the temple room, there was a notice there that everybody has to attend Mangarati. But there were exceptions. If someone is a new mother who has just given birth to a baby, breastfeeding the baby, you are exempted to come to Mangarati. If you cannot, it does not mean that once you have a newborn baby, you don't go to the temple. But if per certain conditions, you are unable to go to the temple, you're not going to be held in any harsh way or whatever. Because the Guru knew that the body needs to be healed in order to be strong and healthy enough to use it to serve Krishna. Whereas there are other people that say the body is just material, just concentrate on the spiritual. But if you do not have the body, the material body, how do you serve spiritual? So Gurudev trained us how to take care of the totality of the individual. If someone has psychological problems, go there and then offer him or her some help. If someone has physiological problems, help. If someone has mental problem, help. And we know mental problem is one of the #1 diseases in this world today.
Perfectly clear, Prabhu. Now, just the fact that, just because we know that we're the spirit soul doesn't mean that the subtle and gross body should neglect, because that is actually Krishna's gift to us, to use our bodies, both subtle and gross, as tools to become closer to him and help others also use their bodies to get closer to him too.
Well, thank you so much.
So she's now clear.
Now it's clear. If that was your point, now it's clear, and I'm of the same understanding.
Well, before the class, Mother KARTAMISA relayed to me that she would not be able to be here so long because, again, we're talking about the body. She has to take care of the body, rest the body to be able to get up in the morning to attend Mangarati. I think we have one more hand up, and probably this will be the last because it's coming from His Grace Harichakra Prabhu. Harichakra Prabhu, please you may unmute.
Hare Krishna. Mother KARTAMISA, thank you very much. Thank you very much for your nice delivery and the realizations you are having. I guess you're going to pray for us too, so that gradually we will also be able to get that type of realization. Thank you very much. And I just wanted to react to the question that Dr. Hassan was brought up. Many a time, some devotees, the mistake we make is that we try to perform our Krishna consciousness based on people's what do we call it? People's behavior.
Mm-hmm.
And that is one thing that Guru Maharaj always warned us against.
Mm.
That you know,
Yes.
because if let's assume that let's even put the issue of somebody talking some stupid things about the black body. What about if somebody is saying oh, if somebody is a devotee and the person is saying, oh, it's very good to eat meat, but I don't know why you people are always so why would you let that discourage you? Or some you hear that some devotee is abusing kids. Some devotee is, even though the person claims to be a devotee and he's abusing little kids. And why would you let that discourage you? So, of course, Guru Maharaj used to say that we are in a hospital, and in the hospital, like you go to the hospital, and there is someone, a nurse or a senior person in the hospital, who start insulting you, who start looking down on you, and then you become so mad that because of the behavior of that person, you are not going to see the doctor. You are going home. You go home and die. Why would you let somebody's stupid behavior drive you from the hospital for you to go home only to go and die? So if you are really sick and you are determined to get healed, then you stay. You stay in line at the hospital, and you just try to ignore the nonsense the nurse is telling you, the nonsense any other patient who is also there is telling you. Stay in line. When it's your turn, get your medication, go home, and in your home, nobody will come there and insult you. You practice, you take your medication, and then you get healed. So that is my little opinion. That is why we have to do. Because if we listen to what people say, oh, there are a lot of people there are a lot of people who claim to be senior devotees, and they will tell you a horrible thing that if you are not careful, you just abandon Prabhupada's house.
Yeah.
I mean, so we just have to be and that's why we always try to get the association that will help us.
Yes.
You always try to stay in the association that will help you grow.
Yes. Yes. Very nice.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Mother.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Oh, Govinda.
Hare Krishna, Mother. Please accept my respectful obeisances. And
Please
thank you very
accept mine.
much.
Thank you.
All glory to Gurudev, Guru to Prabhupada. Yeah, I would like to say that whatever Dr. Hassan, you heard from these devotees, and that has made you so disturbed. I think you should learn from that, and I also learn from this experience, and then put myself in that person's shoe, that if you are acting for that person to be so disturbed like you are disturbed, how would it feel? If like it were you acting in such a way that somebody is so disturbed as you are disturbed now, how will you feel? So that we don't act in a way that will make people disturbed. So that is a lesson that Krishna, I think, wants you to learn. That don't act so that people will be disturbed, just like somebody has acted and has affected you so much. So don't act for people to be disturbed and to discourage people or dropping down the faith of someone Krishna consciousness. And if you do that, then means this situation has actually helped you to advance a little step towards your Krishna consciousness, if that is what you are learning from it. So we should learn from that, whatever we are hearing and we are so disturbed, you should learn that we don't act that same way for other people to be disturbed. That is a lesson Krishna tries to teach us. And if we can understand it that way, we will make progress. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you for sharing. Dr. Hassan, you have something to end on? You have your hand up.
Hare Krishna. Yes, Your Grace. Thank you all for the wonderful, wonderful answers. Sometimes it is said that we have to keep a very good association, and as a devotees, we learn from, especially the new ones, we learn from the senior ones, And this particular issue, it has not really affected me one way or another. It will affect you, but I was trying to, there's some people who you are very closer to them, and it happens that maybe most of the time you have interactions with them. But if you begin to feel that they have something like that about maybe African people, even if you are going closer to the person, you begin to automatically you being a human being, all these things will come to your mind. But I ask advisor, how do I relate with these people not to, I think my question, I didn't ask as well for the first time, not to act in such a way that you be offended, you offend them, because even in your mind, if you are thinking bad about them, because if such things happen, what comes to your mind that they are racist or something like that. So I was just trying to understand how do I deal with situations like this? Yeah. Because I don't know, like His Grace Hari Chakra said, the explanation he gave is helped so much, and what His Grace Govinda also said is gave so much. This helped me to give me ideas and how to relate with people like that. So thank you so much for the answers. But at the same time, we be a human being, it's very difficult to pretend in certain situations.
Sure.
So thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Oh, wow. Thank you. It was so nice.
Yeah, very nice. Very nice. Mother Katamisha, there is last.
It's been the last one.
Yeah, this is the last one. This is Hare Krishna Africa. Countries is our brother and friend. But there is a question in the chat room about what is the meaning of your precious name, Katamisha.
I have to keep telling this story. Even here, I have to keep telling this story because people ask me. When I first got the name, the devotees were mispronouncing it. They were saying KARTAMISA, this and that. And one day, Gurudev, before he gave a lecture, he said, I want to explain the name that I've given, KARTAMISA, because the emphasis is on the third syllable. It's not KARTAMISA, it's KARTAMISA. And he wrote it down on a piece of paper, and I put it in a coverture. And he said it means boss of the cowherd village. Yeah. So it means I'm the servant of Srimati Radharani here. I'm at the right place at the right time because it means I'm the servant of Srimati Radharani, who's the boss of Vrindavan. It's how I wound up here, Gurudev. So that's what it means, actually. And I want to thank all of you because you all really helped me too. It's nice to hear senior devotees because you're all senior to me. So it really is nice to hear from all of you. I really appreciate it so much. And also, in this terms of also this bodily consciousness, like we can either whatever happens, like you said, Ty Dave, this is going to go on regardless, whether you're in the movement or whether you're in the material world, it's going to be the same. So how you deal with it is up to you. You, like he said, you can't keep reacting to everybody's reaction. Then you won't remember Krishna. You won't want to remember Krishna because it's going to disturb your mind. No. That's my little 2 cents added to your 2 cents.
Thank you so much, Mother. Actually, we used to have one deity in Accra, Ghana, and he was called KARTAMISA. And I love that deity so much, and I was fortunate enough to take care of that deity. I committed so much offenses to KARTAMISA deity, but he kind of tolerated me. But yeah, so KARTAMISA,
because Krishna is very kind. He never sees any faults.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yes, he doesn't. But he is, the way he stands, his pose is like that of a boss. So
yes,
that's yeah, he's the boss. Yeah. All right.
But in case it was Krishna who was KARTAMISA instead of Radharani, so it could be either one. No.
What'd you say?
It sounds like Sahadev was serving KARTAMISA Krishna, not Radharani.
Yeah.
So
but Radharani always comes first, even if it's unspoken.
Yeah. There is no Krishna without Radha.
There's no, she runs Vrindavan. She's the queen of Vrindavan. She runs it.
Yeah.
And Krishna runs to her.
But you were serving KARTAMISA in the form of Krishna, right, Sahadev?
Yes, because he was in a male image.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, I just wanted to clarify. It seems like KARTAMISA, it can go either way, male, female.
Well, this in this village, Radharani is the boss, so I'm following her.
Yeah.
She's the boss.
Okay.
Yeah. With that being said, dear devotees, we're going to humbly request you all to kindly unmute, and we all with one voice and with joyful heart chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra to express our appreciation to our revered speaker, Her Grace KARTAMISA Devi, for spending her valuable time with us all and sharing her love and wisdom with us today. Jai. Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha.
Krishna willing, I hope I see all of you next year in June.
Yes.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you.